last night's game against the Rockets is pretty much an interesting one for both teams. Miami obviously has five rotational guys, five roster guys available. Uh, and the biggest one of all was Kyle Guy, who wasn't even on the team beforehand, and he kind of shined overall. So I'm going to talk about him in a second. But I first want to just talk about Jimmy Butler in a game where he was ruled out against San Antonio, comes back, and he just looks as good as ever, like he has to begin the season before all the injuries and stuff. But I just want to go through some of the things we saw from him in the last one. We saw his career high 15 assists and the way he was working the mid post and kind of just feeding other guys. Last night, we saw the complete opposite, and it was him working from the mid post and just being the scorer that he is, just showing how he just owns that part of the floor. So just starting it out, as we see Jimmy backing down, something I want to showcase as I go back a little bit. You're going to watch Caleb Martin on the bottom of the screen. Look like he's going to come for the cut, come for the quick clear out back to his side, and we're going to see him immediately realize, yeah, we don't want to do that because Jimmy is going to clear out mode. And the reason that stands out is because I'm going to show the next play when it does work. But he does that. Caleb retreats. Jimmy gets to his spot on the floor and just rises up, take tough fadeaway. And when Jimmy's taking that shot and making that shot, you're in for an interesting night because that shot is usually an indication of how Jimmy's performance is going to go because we know he's going to get to the line. You know he's going to get to the rim and he's going to do those type of things. But when he can make that fadeaway jumper, things will work out well. But since I was talking about Caleb Martin a second ago, we're going to see right here, Caleb Martin pretty much the roam guy, and I think that's why it was interesting the way he can retreat and do different things like that. Right here, he's the roam guy, and he comes around the top of the key into the wing, clears out, and Jimmy can utilize cutters and just kind of these type of slip screens or end arounds really to his advantage. As I go back one more time, and you see this fake pass, he comes around and totally throws his defender off, and all Jimmy needs is that 1 second of separation, and that just changes the game for him. If he can get that 1 second of throw off his defender, then he can get by him and he can get to his spots. And right there, that's one of the easiest shots you can get with Jimmy just creating position, going into that spin. That's just his game. Another one is we're looking later in the game. Jimmy kind of closed it out for them, hitting some big shots. But as I go right here, it was interesting because obviously they have Jimmy, they have Kyle, they have Tyler, and you're going to use those guys. Tyler was having a bit of a rougher game. So we saw some Jimmy Kyle inverted pick and rolls. And I think the interesting thing is that we wanted to see that for a while because it's such an interesting combo. We haven't even gotten to see a lot of Kyle and Jimmy, but that's something you're going to see a ton in playoff time. End of a game when things are tight, they're going to probably clear things out, go to the top of the key with Jimmy and Kyle inverted pick and rolls. As you see right here, he sets the screen, and Jimmy can pretty much manipulate that second defender really, really well. He goes right here. Kyle's screening, they were like kind of fighting through screens really hardly in this one. He fights through, and he knows that he's going to fight through and try to cut him off. So he immediately waits for the contact, takes the contact, goes up and hits the and one. Like that stuff just shows how smart of basketball Jimmy is. He can just know what's going to happen with that second defender. And the other, speaking of that, as I go into this one, he also knows about the help defender, and he really keeps an eye on him, and he can utilize that one to his advantage as well. You're going to see Tyler and Omer clear out right here. Jimmy's going to work and get to his spots. And with 4 guys on one side, you're going to see the defender start to edge over down low below the rim. And Jimmy takes notice of that because obviously that's the biggest thing here when you put 4 guys on one side. Jimmy's going to get to his spot right here. He pump fakes his guy off of him. He sees the help right here, and immediately he can take the contact and help defender. He knows he's there. He doesn't just go up immediately once he gets his defender. He waits for the help defender. And he can just really take advantage of those guys. It just really is interesting how he can not only utilize his teammates like a Caleb Martin as a roamer and get his defender off of him, but he can also just by himself mid-post backing a guy down, can take note of all of that. The other guys I'm talking about, Jimmy Butler showing off. Kyle Guy was a guy that really showed off as well. As we see right here, I'm going to show a play that pretty much shows his role. And this is an easy thing to say, but it's completely the truth. Kyle Guy was placed into the Max Strus role, and it's not just replacing him player by player into the roster, into the rotation. He was utilizing the exact same way, the exact same sets that Max Strus is usually utilized in. It's one of them that I always talk about is the slip screens that Strus is probably best at. Is probably his best offensive skill set is setting slip screens, getting to his either the left wing, the right wing, or the top of the key, as we'd see right here with Kyle Guy. Immediately slips it. Silva's setting the pin down, and he gets his shot. Takes probably the foul as well, and he knocks it down. But seeing a guy that's able to, he mentioned he looked into a lot of film before this one because he was trying to prepare as much as possible into this offense, into this system. I would probably bet on them showing him and Kyle Guy investing in Max Strus film before this one. That just feels like what he was drenched in because they basically placed him in that type of role. And as I go into one last play from Kyle Guy, just to showcase the different, just a guy that's on a 10-day that's be able to do this is intriguing. As we see, Caleb sets the screen for Kyle. Kyle's getting to the basket, and you see Kyle Guy and Nick Stauskas on the weak side right here. You're going to see Kyle Guy motion him down. The interesting thing is that if he was already motioned down and he was ready, Kyle was 100% either going to hit him or hit Kyle Guy on the skip pass. So as we go one more time right back, Nick Stauskas wasn't really in the right spotting after they edged over. He pushes him over. Then Lowry can hit Kyle Guy, and he gets here, makes an incredible feed into Omer after he gets him in the air. Like, that stuff is really intriguing. There's a lot of stuff we could talk about with Kyle Guy from last night. The 3 straight threes. He had a real tough one on the right wing. He had a nice mid-range jumper, some real flashy passes. There's no doubt he's a confident player. I don't know how Miami can go about things to really get him on the roster if he keeps this up, because obviously they could utilize a guy right now in this COVID situation that you can import him in. I don't know how they would go about it, but obviously one game, it was a really intriguing one. But most of all, the most important thing here was just seeing him just being integrated into a Max Strus role, because we talk about how simple Max Strus's role is. And obviously last night, Spoelstra said it, Kyle Guy said it, that they really simplified his role for him offensively.